Hey everybody, welcome to the King Contractor Podcast. Here with the infamous, notorious. Those aren't positive things. They're going to be good things here today. The big deal, the big wheel. Paul Jamison, Green Industry Podcast. How you doing, man?
Good, Caleb. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm happy to be here. This is take two, folks. We had technical issues on the last one we recorded with Paul, and that one went off the rails and all over the place anyhow, so maybe it's for the best. I don't know. I usually take those as that is a sign from God generally. If I'm trying to upload something and it's lagging or whatever, I'd kind of take that as the gentle nudge I pray for of the good Lord guiding me here. Maybe I shouldn't hit send on that one, or that's a little too opinion-based or whatever. So maybe whatever, that's the case. Paul. What, you're in Cumming, Georgia, right?
That's where I'm at right now, but I've been traveling like crazy. So I wake up in the morning and it takes me like 90 seconds to think where am I at? What city am I in today?
Yeah, you've been covering a lot of ground with Green Industry Podcast and then all the social stuff you've been pushing and writing books and all sorts of stuff. How many books do you have out now, Paul?
I have 3, but the 4th one is going to be the best one. And I'm not sure if you read the 2 chapters.
I haven't got to that yet. No, sorry.
Okay, well, let me know because we're getting ready to rock and roll on this thing. We need your approval or lack thereof. But I think you'll be impressed.
Okay, well, hopefully it adequately covers how handsome and intelligent I am. So I trust it does as such. So, Paul, what's that book going to be called, the new one?
We're still working on the title, but it's basically going to be winning strategy. So I'm going to be featuring 12 top landscaping companies. And for example, yesterday I was just at the best company I've ever seen, North Point Outdoors in New Hampshire. So we're going to feature them in the story. We're going to feature you and 10 other companies that are winning. And like you mentioned on your podcast before, your overnight success, wink, wink. So none of these companies are, some flashy new things. They're companies that have been around for a while, right, that are tried and true, that are proven. And we talk so much on our podcast in our community, like, oh, we screwed this up. We failed here. We failed there. Like, I wanted to actually brag on 12 companies that actually have profit, actually have longevity and just focus on like, hey, here's 12 companies that have won. Here's how they won. Here's what they learned and have that as a resource out there for people to be motivated and to read it and to be encouraged. Like, wow, if David Fairburn built this, I can build this too. And he, by the way, he does $1 million a month. So profitability. But that's this year they're pushing 18 million. And there's companies out there that are just crushing it. And a lot of them you don't see on right. I listen to Gary V. I listened to Gary V on my plane ride yesterday, and I wanted to like jump off the plane. I was so pumped up, like I gotta create content. Let's go. But a lot of these companies, you've never heard about them. I've never even heard about this company. And my contact from Kubota was like, Paul, have you heard about these guys up in New Hampshire? And I thought he was overhyping them. So I was like, all right, we'll see. And I flew all the way up to Boston. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this company took efficiency to a whole nother level. They're playing chess and they're winning. They're crushed. They're just destroying the competition. But anyway, that's what that's about. So
there's so many amazing companies out there that aren't on social at all because they're busy building a company instead of, trying to, and I mean, it just depends on who's doing what. And there are amazing companies out there that do have a social channel, whatever, but a lot of those, and by the way, too, overnight success, yes, wink, wink, 20 years later, right? For me, it should have been 10 years later, but alas, here we are. It took me 10 years of hard schooling.
The point of the book, though, is, Caleb, someone reads your story, your 20 years, and then they can expedite their process because they can avoid, the IRS troubles by setting aside quarterly taxes. They can get that shop built faster and make it a priority to make whatever sacrifices they have. Because imagine if you guys would have moved into that shop 5 years ago, like everything would have been fast tracked. So the book is to show guys, here's how Caleb won, here's how David won, here's how these other businesses won. And they're not all businesses that everyone's heard of. Anyway, I'm pumped up for the book. So I've been hard on it.
Yeah, that's all, Paul. That's wonderful, man. It's awesome to see somebody get excited about anything, whatever they're passionate about doing or whatever. And there's nothing that I think is cooler or more attractive or interesting than someone that's excited about whatever they are doing, like someone that shows passion for what they do. I don't care if it's operating machines or laying pavers or creating perfect pizza, whatever the case is, like I love that. And I love hanging around people that are excited to be the best darn ping pong player they can be. Shout out Jason Creel. We
I,
want
I,
like,
I think I beat Jason. It was almost.
oh, I knew that was going to come up. Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I crushed him in ping pong. He was bragging about how good at ping pong he was, and his poor son was filming it. And I just beat his dad so bad. I was like, it was like 10-0, and then finally I let him
in the man's own house too, and you
at his own out in his shed. Anyway,
the well did so you like, do you play a lot of ping pong, or you're just skilled?
I'm not sure if Jason's is just that bad or if I'm that good. I don't know. I think it's somewhere in the middle, but he didn't have much of a backhand, so I just kept feeding it toward his backhand, and he hit it too far.
So you can identify weaknesses and capitalize on those. So what do you play ping pong, or are you like, or was that like your third time playing ping pong?
In college, good old Athens, Ohio, beautiful.
Yeah, baby, just down the road here from
beautiful part of the country, Southeast Ohio. It's gorgeous.
Yes, it is.
And most people don't know I was in your neck of the woods for 4.5 years, but we had a ping pong table instead of like a kitchen table in our kitchen or family room, not family room. Like the house was so ghetto. It was like all the rooms were like one just big area.
Right.
Anyway, they had a ping pong table in that room, and we would play ping pong on there all day long. And so I got good in college, and then I haven't played in years, but I still got it.
Sleeper ping pong. There we go. I knew it. Okay, so yeah, poor Mr. Creel. They're the Lawn Care Life, by the way. Actually, he has a conference coming up in February of 2024, technically, right? The Lawn Care Life, the tickets for that, just find Lawn Care Life. For some reason, we've been asked, Brittany and I, to speak there. And Paul, you're doing some stuff down there, aren't you? If not just broadcasting the whole time?
Yeah, well, I'll be there podcasting away. I try to go to as many of the events that I can and podcast from. And so Jason asked me to help him this year with the event. So it's going to be awesome. I went to the last one they did that was right before COVID happened, and it was a great event. Jason and Tracy are just good, wholesome people, and they host a wonderful event that's literally on their family's property. It's a awesome venue, and I'm really looking forward to it. Alan Haynes coming up, Naylor's speaking as well. Alan Hayne. There might be another surprise that we haven't announced yet, and it's going to be awesome. So yeah, you can actually go to greenindustrypodcast.com. I'm going to get that link up there very soon. I've been telling Jason, I know it's a year away, but we got to get that link up because it's limited to 300 seats because it's the venue is limited because it's not like a hotel ballroom where you can just pull the wall down and expand it. It's in a venue that it's, once you hit the max, you just can't bring any more people.
That's it. There's no, we found some extra seats. Stand by here, Paul. Miss Brittany, is there an emergency? Okay, Bo's called me twice, so I didn't know if there's something going on site. Oh, that's the thing of running a company. There's Mr. Bo's called me twice, 3 times now. This is not good.
Well, why don't we take it over to Mr. Producer here from today's show sponsors, and you call Bo, and then we'll resume after you put out a fire.
Professional broadcasting. Let's do that. Hey, man, what's up? Yeah, that's very possible. Have you put a hose in those or anything by any chance? Yeah. Boy, that'd be wild. What another thing? Whoa, that's interesting. Let me one thing too, go out this the blowouts where the daylights are. Maybe stick a leaf blow on that and see if you can air it. Of a podcast. I'm gonna get here, knock us out, and I'll give you a call back. But otherwise, yeah, keep troubleshooting or try to figure out what in the world's going on, and I'll give you a buzz here. No, I just told her to call, and I just decided if you call twice, man, something serious is going on. So, yeah, so I just want to get back in touch with you, but she doesn't know I paused the show here. So we're all good, man. Okay, thank you, buddy. Bye now. Oh, those wacky pool guys doing those wacky pool guys, Paul, doing pool guy stuff. We don't know. We think they might, whatever. We think they might have severed the drainage lines on this property and then just hooked them all together to where they actually don't go anywhere anymore. So, anyways, stuff you run into on job sites. It's crazy. So, okay, so we're back. Thank you, Mr. Producer. Appreciate you taking that away for us. Paul, you're amazing. You are excellent. You are excellence in broadcasting, buddy. How is Green Industry Podcast these days?
It's going well, man. We're just kind of taking this thing to the next level. When I started it, I didn't have any plan. I just was having a cup of coffee with our mutual friend Naylor at Waffle House and was pitching him the idea. He's like, you got to go for it. So I recorded a few episodes with him. Then I did one with Brian Fullerton. I did one with you. I did one with Payjack. I just kind of interviewed my boys, but I didn't really have a mission for the podcast. It was just like, hey, here we are talking shop. Now I'm approaching 1,000 episodes and I'm like, man, I really want to serve somebody, especially who's newer into this business, that they get all their systems, all their processes fine-tuned from, their CRM to understanding their numbers to having a good culture, just like building a successful business. And I've been exposed to more success. I'm fresh off this buzz of seeing this company where I'm just like, every new lawn care business owner should experience this success of David Fairburn's company, just to realize this is what it could look like when you actually, he has a 95% retention amongst his employees. So the guys, imagine having 100 employees last year, 95 out of those 100 come back this year. And I saw these people and I'm like, they love to work there. He gives his guys a new truck, personal truck, $45,000 truck if you work there for 10 years. So guys that are working 5-6 years, they're like, man, 4 more years till I get my truck. And then he just does all these things. Like the guys have incentive. He teaches them the Dave Ramsey program. He teaches so you got a 21-year-old kid that comes in the lawn care business. Most other companies, that guy, once he gets offered a better job, is going to go take another job with higher pay and better benefits. He sits them down at age 21 and explains to them, hey guys, I'm going to teach you how to retire a millionaire. He calls it landscaping millionaires. Guys that work for his company. He's like, if you work here long enough, you will become a millionaire, because let's start with saving $300 a month into your Roth IRA or whatever he has set up.
That's so
the
cool.
investment. And he teaches them and he holds them accountable not to go blow their money on Doritos and Black and Milds and whatever, you go to the gas station and these guys buy, but he challenges each person on his team. How much are you saving each month? And so that they have margin and they're investing. And so they have financial stability. I mean, it was mind blowing. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, you're lying to me. You don't have 95% retention rate. There's no way 95 people came back from last year. And
yeah,
I investigated it. He was telling me the truth. And, Kubota was there with me. And it was just like, wow, there's companies out there that are winning. And, it's encouraging.
Man, that is awesome. It's so cool to hear. And, man, and I think that's a big part of getting youth on your team and getting just getting people that are optimistic on the team, right? And willing to, and it's part of the culture too. There are people I would imagine that apply there that they don't take because they can tell that they're not going to be part of the culture, right? They're not going to make sense.
This is mind blowing, Caleb. They have a waiting list. So he had a guy that was 30th on the waiting list that they ended up, guy got a shot last year. And when he came into the interview, he's like, I'm so excited. I've been waiting months for this opportunity. Wow. And they literally have a waiting list of people who want to work there. Because once everybody hears they pay the best in town, they, help set you up for retirement, teach you how to handle money. They give you a brand new truck after 10 years. They have all this incentive. People want to work there. And I was like, I didn't want to leave, man. I got the shirt on right now. North Point Outdoors. I'm wearing the shirt. I was like, this company, the shop was immaculate. I mean, your shop's great, Caleb. Imagine 10x your shop on steroids. And it's just I didn't want to leave. It was just it was so cool the whole thing, all their equipment was great. And then ultimately at the end of the day, they're premium pricing. So their prices are the highest in town, or, top of the line in town. And that enables them to make, everything. And that's something he kept harping on that you've heard from everyone in our industry. Know your numbers. But he actually does know his numbers, and he's able to afford all of this stuff because ultimately the customers are paying for it, and then they're doing bang out work. So
yeah. And the customers are getting that experience back. When you've got teams that are that happy to be on site or that happy to be at their job, they're gonna have a better customer experience anyways. Like, just it all turns into this self-fulfilling, I say prophecy, but this self-fulfilling cycle of happy employees do better work, and better work leads to higher prices, and higher prices leads to higher end clientele, and it just keeps going and going. And where does it end? I don't know, but that's all like what we need. Like, I think each company, you do what you want, but like, I know that's what we're striving for. Like, we've got some really great guys that take really good care of our clients, even when they're difficult sometimes. And that's a big deal. And that customer experience is a big deal. I've got a job right now that I am, for all intents and purposes, going to lose money on. And it's just been a disaster. And it was a little job that I totally screwed up that turned up to be a big job that I priced as a little job. It just got eaten up, and I didn't leave myself any doors for change orders or anything. I just totally botched this 5 ways from Friday. And the client's still not exactly happy yet. And they're not taking advantage of me. I can gauge when somebody's being just a usurper of our time and resources. But we're going to go back out and do a couple touch-up things to make sure they're 100% happy, because that reputation locally, they're across the ridge. If there wasn't a slight hill in the way, I can see their house from our shop.
Wow.
Like, we've got to come through. And regardless if their site was 2 hours away, like, we've got to come through on it. But I just screwed up in so many ways. But the guys while morale is low on that job because it was some tedious work that wasn't a lot of fun, like, we're going to get that job done, and the guys will stick it out and we'll knock it out. But I mean, that is like what you've got to be. I forget where I was going with that, Paul, but just, I want to always make sure because somebody mentioned to me the other day about like a lot of podcasts are too full of like all the glory and how great, and what you should do and how perfect your things are at this company or that company and all that. And like, I want to make sure that at least we're keeping it the realest of anybody, or as much as
definitely do that,
else.
Caleb. Yeah, you're doing that.
It's not easy. I don't want people to see this building or nice trucks and machines and all this stuff and think like we suck. There's something wrong with me, or like, what am I doing wrong, or whatever, or like, why am I the only one? Because everybody thinks they're alone in business. Like, everybody I talk to, when it gets down to it, they think they're the only ones dealing with this crap of like, I underquoted a job, even 20 years in business now, I totally screwed this thing up. And like, yeah, we still make mistakes, and our guys make mistakes. I make mistakes. Stuff breaks. We break things, whatever. Like, it's not easy. And just because you get a big fancy building and some fancy machines and even like star teammates, we still screw stuff up. It still happens. And so like, I just want it to be out there. I just don't know, because really at the end of the day, Paul, what it really comes down to is people ask me, like they ask you in your coaching calls and stuff like that, should I quit my full-time job with benefits and six-figure pay to start a lawn care business or an excavating company or whatever like that? And it's what I just never want it to look like or lead anyone astray as to like, it's easy to get where we're at, wherever that is or whatever that is. Like, it's not easy. It's awesome. Don't get me wrong. And it's doable, but it's not a cakewalk. And so when people ask you for your advice, should I quit my job that's pretty comfortable and secure in theory? Like, so that's just why I always am putting this stuff out there, because I don't want people seeing like, oh, they're living a self-employed dream lifestyle. They travel a lot and they do this and that. No, it all comes at a cost of some manner or another. So Paul, that's it. That's why with that long diatribe there. What else? So what are you doing these days? Are you doing tours with Green Industry Podcast and going around to a bunch of shops? Or I know you've been traveling a bit, going around to see a bunch of people. What are some other operations, or be it big or little, that you've thought are notable and little things you're picking up?
Yeah, and real quick, I want to say to that guy who is making that transition that you just mentioned, that first second, those first 2 years are going to be the most difficult because you're going to have your highest cost where you have to get the equipment,
Right.
be able to get the job done, and you have to get the systems and processes in place. So from the perspective of time and money, you're getting ready to go from, a job where you can technically mail it in and get your paycheck to where you're going to be working crazy hours and you're going to be sacrificing. And yeah, the first couple of years are, even if you do everything perfect, it's going to be very, you know what, you got to know you're signing up for a challenge. So I just want to reemphasize everything you just said, because I do these one-on-one calls, and that's what I do. I like scare people, like their hair sticking up, like, I don't know if I want to do this. No, you want to do it, but you want to be real about it. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, don't go into rose-colored glasses. Exactly. Yeah.
So, but once you do get everything in place and the right equipment and the right customers and everything's got the right margin, then you will make way more money than you would at the job. The upside is, nearly limitless of the situation. But what's going on in the Green Industry podcast? I've, created a show where our goal is to be a morning show, Monday through Friday. People tune in, and when they're done listening to it, they're excited to go crush the day. I like to listen to the Dave Ramsey show. When I'm done with that, I'm pumped up to live on less than I make and to invest and to do the deal. And so we want to be that for business owners. And I try to capture the most encouraging, epic stories I can. And so last week I was down in sunny South Florida. I was interviewing Al Blades, who went from Publix grocery store to starting a lawn business. He got 62 lawn customers, started putting his videos on YouTube, blew up on YouTube, had 144 million views in less than 2 years. You can run the math. Some of y'all could Google how much you make for 1 million YouTube views and then multiply that by 144 million and just, make sure you're sitting in a chair. The guys made bank off of that. Then I was on a plane to Boston where there's snow on the ground.
And by the way, he came from humble beginnings. I mean, so I want to say this is like an awesome story of like, dare I say rags to riches, but like, I'm so happy for him. It's so great.
He took me to his childhood house, and I literally almost started crying because he's like, that's where I used to live. And I said, you're kidding me. And he said, no. And I was like, and then we kept driving down the road and he showed me the apartment. He's like, and eventually I moved into this apartment. And like, my heart was just like breaking to see that. I felt like I was in a third world country, but I was in the United States. It was a rough part of town.
Yeah.
And now he's, very wealthy. And I was telling him, I was like, Al, you are like an NFL football player. You've made a whole bunch of money in a short period of time. And I hope it continues, but algorithms change and things change. I was like, don't count on this crazy money flowing in much longer. I mean, I hope it does. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it happens another 2 years or longer. But I was like, these NFL guys, because I've seen them with my naked eye, and basketball players as well. They make all this money in a short amount of time, and they change their lifestyle to the new money coming in, and then the money shuts off, and the lifestyle doesn't. And then literally a guy who made I'm not exaggerating, you can Google this. His name's Allen Iverson. He made $200 million. He was one of the best basketball players ever. $200 million. And he was in the apartment complex I lived in. He was my neighbor because he blew all his money. And anyways, like when I saw him, I was just like, how in the world? It kind of scared me.
Yeah.
Like this is
be it 200 million or 20,000 in a year. It's all relative, or 200,000. Like, yeah, if that formula doesn't adjust lifestyle with income, and it's easy to get caught up in that, man. I know when we started making money finally years ago, like, I get it, man. I see how you get sucked into that, and it takes a lot of diligence. I'll tell you one cool story. I don't know if I've shared this actually before. Up visiting with Fullertons, Brittany and I, and Brian took us over to the house one of the houses he grew up in, and humble to say the least, humble dwelling. And he didn't see this from my perspective, but it was the coolest thing, of very humble home there in Michigan, and where he grew up. And he pulled up and we stopped in the street, and we're sitting out there in his Tesla, looking at his childhood home. It was, like I said, very humble little place. And here they are about to build. So we're sitting out there in his Tesla in this neighborhood that he grew up in, which was not nice or not fancy really at all. And here he is about to build his dream home and all this kind of stuff. It was neat, dude. It was a neat and he didn't see I'm in the passenger seat seeing him in Tesla looking at this little itty bitty humble little house he grew up in. And it was a neat experience. It was cool. I'm so happy to see those kind of success stories. And like those kind of things it fires me up, man. It gets me so excited to see people work their tails off and be smart with it and get somewhere,
Yeah, and it's put a bounce back in my step going from sunny South Florida, seeing Al, hearing his story, to New Hampshire, and I actually flew into Boston. But New Hampshire's right next to Boston. Those states, that part of the country, are smaller than
I think
Florida.
Denmark's over there somewhere too, like right in that.
I
They all
think
kind of run together. Yeah.
But anyway, like when I was in Florida, like I went from where Al lives to Pensacola, where I interviewed my bookkeeper in a website company over there, and it was 8.5-hour drive. I was like, what? 8.5-hour drive. I didn't even think that Florida was that big. And I just went from one side to the other, it was 8.5 hours, like, whoa. And then from Boston to New Hampshire, it was like 30 minutes. Like the states
Right.
are
Yeah, Texas is like that, but even worse. You're like, oh, that's got to be 2 or 3, and it's like 11-hour drive. It's like, oh man, I didn't sign up for this. It's a day drive or whatever, Yeah, it's funny how the geography, and then the East, everything is just so compact, man. It's just wild. Paul, okay, so you're wrapping up a book, your Green Industry podcast, you're working on growing YouTube and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. What else is going on in the world with you? What do you do for fun outside of that? You work out a lot, don't you?
I try to. I've been trying something new where I've been walking. So like literally right before I hopped on this podcast, I did one lap around my apartment complex. So I've been trying to do a few walks. I bought some new golf clubs.
Yeah.
I went golfing with Al, so that was a lot of fun. But I don't have anyone to golf with here. Mr. Producer, if you're listening, you want to go golfing sometime, let me know.
Well, Paul, next time you're up this way and we get Brian and Jeremiah Jennings and a bunch of people, we'll get a little foursome together, stuff to be a riot. Do you golf a bit? You golf a bit then, or what?
I played one time this year. Last year, I don't think I played. Maybe I played one time last year. I've been about once a year kind of golfer.
Yeah, that's me.
For about 10 years. But before that, when I was actually living in Ohio in high school, I played a lot.
Which, folks, that's why you got to be careful when people say they have 10 years of experience or 10 years of background doing something, right? That's the funny thing that I've been golfing for 10 years.
Yeah, but honestly, I've been in a season of my life where you mentioned YouTube, so like that alone takes time to create a YouTube short or a YouTube mid or long form video, and then get a thumbnail for it, and then a title, and then a description. Like it takes a lot of work just to do that. But then I also try to post on Instagram a reel, and then have the right hashtag and stuff for that, and then you put it on TikTok, and then on Facebook Reels, and then LinkedIn. I made a post yesterday, but I'm trying to do that even better. And I'm neglecting Twitter and what's the other one? Pinterest. And I'm not even posting on those. I'm just doing right now YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and a little bit of LinkedIn. Those 5. I mean, that's like a full-time job just posting on there, and then the daily podcast, and then writing the book, and my travel schedule. Like, yesterday I woke up the day before I woke up at 4:30, and I had a friend come over at 6:30. Literally, I paid a guy to come over at 6:30 in the morning to help me film some videos, and it was funny. I did it before I hopped on a flight, went to Boston, worked, for 24 hours, flew back yesterday. It's just like my life's crazy. So I don't have like things I do for fun right now, but eventually I need to incorporate that so I don't burn out. I'm not like burnout, but I'm like, there's only one shot where the organic reach you can get on social media is like it is today. So it's like, I'm trying to take that serious. I'm trying to go do in-person podcast interviews. Not everyone has a great microphone and studio lights and board like you, Caleb. This is awesome. I could do this all day if my guests sounded and looked like you. But usually when you do a over the internet podcast, the person's audio's crap and it just doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
And this is great because Caleb and me are using the same professional quality, and it sounds fantastic. At least it does on my end, and I'm
Yeah,
sure.
same. It's wonderful. Yeah, it's great to get those great audio files captured. What I had a question on that. Shoot, Paul. Um, shoot. If you were what would be like, and we're probably getting at time here, but what would be like if you were going to start a company again, or if and build up what you're doing now? Would you be all debt free, all that, even in a business or whatever, or would you use some debt to get rolling right out the gate? What would you do, or what do you recommend when people ask that?
Yeah, well, I'm going to answer my answer honestly. I don't I don't try. I try not to use any debt in my life. And the reason is I've I've been under the weight of going to Ohio University at 18, 19, 20 years old, not realizing what a student loan is, paying the bare minimum, watching the balance go up, and just the financial pressure that puts on my shoulders, like the stress of a student loan. And
Right.
then I could go through the laundry list of all the debts I've had in my life. I've had other form. There wasn't a kind of debt that I didn't have at some point or the other, whether it's an auto loan, a student loan, a business loan. I've had them, and I've done the whole. You get it immediately, the education or the lawnmower or the vehicle, but then you got to work to pay it off. And so I would, I'm preaching to myself here. I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I prefer to work for it, and then when you have the money, purchase it. And a lot of times that might move you a little bit slower, but once I get out of debt, once I pay off my last one, I have no intention to go back, because I know the anxiety that's given me and the stress that it's given me. And the Bible, I'll preach here for a little bit. The borrower is slave to the lender. And so I don't want to be a slave to Sally Mae, or to fill in the name of the bank, or to the SBA, or to whoever you would borrow money for, Sheffield, you name it. And guys you can go out and you can get all the brand new good stuff right out of the gate. And then now you're making payments on it. And they make you sound like you're getting, I'm getting zero interest. Well, they built the price higher. Like it's a game that they're winning. So I don't like that from a student of the Bible. There's nothing positive about it in there, unless you're the one giving the money and getting the interest. Then if you're the lender, it speaks positive to you, but if you're the borrower, it speaks negative to you. So I think you should try to avoid it at all costs. I know that's very unpopular in our industry, and most people do use debt to grow their business, but as somebody who's been a victim of owing interest, like if I could go back to my 21-year-old self and do the whole compound interest of the Roth IRA, and I got that set up and going, by the way, Caleb. Everything's
Good for
rocking
you.
and rolling with all that. Pretty cool.
Fantastic. Yeah,
But
that's great.
if I would have started all that at age 21 and interest working for me, it gets addictive when you see
Me and you
compound
both.
interest working for you rather than against you. So
Yeah.
long story short, in the words of Dave Ramsey, debt is dumb, cash is king. And that's my stance, as unpopular as it is. You can't fight with the Bible when it says that the borrower is slave to the lender. When we sign up for debt, we're signing up for slavery, even if that's what the culture does. I don't want to be a slave. I want to be freedom. We recognize in the political realm when there's oppression and we're like, oh, we need freedom, we need freedom. But then in our personal lives, we sign right up for bondage and being controlled by someone else. So I want freedom in all aspects of my life and nation.
Awesome, Paul. That was good, dude. The we'll have to do a whole podcast one day on debt and cash and all that kind of stuff. So, Paul, what? Let's see here. I don't know. What's the rest of your week look like, and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm working more on that book, getting that rocking and rolling. I'm doing a sod job, little zoysia sod action.
Oh man.
So, yeah, maybe a little mulch with it as well. So we'll see. It's out of town job. So
Oh boy.
I
Cool. Who's doing your site work for you or prepping? Are you going to do all
I,
that too?
no, yeah, I'm doing it all. So
Oh, baby.
it's my brother-in-law, and I actually asked Alan Hain about his backyard because it's a troubling backyard. He had a big old tree back there, pecan tree. And anyway, it was $1,500. I'm out of town trying to work these deals. So some guy, Enrique, I paid $1,500. He chopped the tree down. Some other guy came out, charged me $850 to grind the stump. And like locally, I know everyone, so I can get all this stuff done for cheaper, and I know it's going to get done. But I don't know anyone out of town, so I'm wheeling and dealing with guys I don't even know who they are. But they did the work, and the trees down, the stumps grinded. So now I'm going to go out there and cultivate the soil and kind of
Well,
till it up. They have like a sand out there. It's weird.
yeah.
We have clay here in Georgia, but they have like sandish soil.
Tell me about that experience then, you being on that side of the fence now of landscape contracting, hiring some of that. What was that like, and how did you settle on anybody or whatever? What was that like?
Well, I just called my brother-in-law and I said, listen, before I get out there, I need this tree down and I need the stump grind. I was like, who do you know? Who do you know? He's like, I know a guy named Enrique. So I'm like, all right.
Okay. Gotcha.
Enrique, that sounds, better than Chuck, So I wheeled and deal with Enrique, and it's just basically like, hey, send me a picture, and lo and behold, the picture's on the ground. So it's like, all right, here's your $1,500. Then the other guy was Enrique knew the stump grinder, so then I just kind of it's not the efficient way to do it, and again, this is more of a private job just for my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
But I want my nieces to have nice sod in their backyard, so I'm putting in zoysia sod. So anyway, I got to go out there and get that banged out and get the sod down and rolled and watered before the heat of summer here.
Awesome, man. Cool. Well, I'm sure you'll be making some content on that. Where can folks find you, Paul?
Yeah, so I'm trying, just like Caleb, I'm trying to really get the YouTube thing going. Al Blades gave me a nice boost. He shared my interview with him, and so like the YouTube analytics are like, your views are up 10,000%, or whatever. I'm like, sweet, thanks, Al. But yeah, my YouTube channel is Green Industry Podcast. We have our podcasts we're recording them now and putting them up over there. And then if you want to listen to the audio version, Green Industry Podcast. And then the Instagram, I'm going hard on there with post Green Industry Podcast. So Jason Creel's wanting me to come out there and make some more, hopefully, viral content with him. So we're get some fresh videos.
What are some apps? I mean, we're talking all the basic ones. Is there anything on the up you're seeing that like you mentioned Pinterest, but that's an established oldie. Is there any new ones coming out that you see that are like,
yes, here's my thoughts on this. And I'm gonna I was influenced by Gary Vaynerchuk on this. He's like, here's where you guys mess up. You're always looking for that next thing, and people are talking about the metaverse, But right now, the metaverse isn't going to move the needle in your life. What's happening now? YouTube Shorts. What's happening now? Facebook Reels. What's happening now? Instagram and TikTok are still happening. So he's like, you guys are so worried about, I'm not saying this is you, Caleb, but I'm just saying we're always thinking, oh, the metaverse, and we're thinking like, what's coming next? And we get so hyper focused on that, we neglect what's hot right now. And what's hot right now in the spring of 2023, if you want to grow on social media, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, TikTok. You master those four, then Gary V's like, then we can have that conversation of how you can be paying attention to what's next. But he's like, so many dummies are living in the past of newspapers and radio and television, and they won't give that up. And then you got the other crowd that are like, they were talking about AI 5 years ago when it was too soon. Now Chat GPT is like, you better be using Chat GPT. I use it every single day. It's in there now. So that's Chat GPT and TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Win at all of those, and then when the next thing, it's the right time, you'll be ready. But I'm not even going to share my thoughts on what I think's next, because 99, I'm confident in this, 99% of you hearing the sound of my voice right now aren't fully capitalizing on Facebook and Instagram Reels, on TikTok, and on YouTube Shorts. And the ones that are, like the Al Blades of the world, I'm not saying you have to do his style of content, but it's changing their lives. So you want to be using this stuff while these platforms are giving us free organic reach. You'd be foolish not to be putting your business out there and getting free eyeballs on who you are and building your brand.
That's good, Paul. Awesome. Yeah, I think it's hard to not want to be like the FOMO, fear of missing out thing, or miss out on the next big land grab of social media. Because I've seen how fast like Periscope went away, and Snapchat even fell apart once Instagram added Reels, and so I feel like being diverse to an extent is very important, right? Because if you are all in on one platform and that platform shifts or change, or God forbid you lose your password or something crazy, like you really, so I try to have some eggs in different baskets. Generally have too many eggs in two different baskets, too many different baskets. But I am just always asking that to everybody I talk to that's in the space, and even young folks. Just trying to keep my finger on the pulse, so I don't become that guy that's still reading the newspaper 10 years from now, i.e., still on Instagram.
My top 5 right now: YouTube's in first place, Facebook's in second place, TikTok's in third place, Instagram's in fourth place, LinkedIn's in fifth place, and I'm trying to post as best as I can on all of them every day. I don't hit that goal every day, but I make it a goal, and I'm trying to get to that point. But those are the 5 where that's my personal strategy. So that's what I'm doing.
It doesn't seem like YouTube's going to go anywhere ever, but if it does, what could you? You can't imagine what it would be that would upset YouTube, right? That would like make it second place. Like, so it's you don't know what's out there. You don't see, you don't know, whatever. But we could go on forever.
And when that does happen, I'll let you know, Caleb, because I do have my ear on Gary V. He's the first. He pays attention to this stuff, so I don't have to all day. And I check in once a week or so and hear what he's saying. I listen to his recent keynote speaking, and he's saying Facebook Reels and YouTube Shorts. That's what he's trumpeting right now. But don't neglect Instagram and TikTok. But he's saying, he calls it an attention graph where supply and demand, where you can post and get the most squeeze of the juice of your post. And he's saying Facebook Reels and YouTube Shorts. So there you go.
Last thing, Paul, top 3 people you're following right now. You mentioned Gary V about a little bit. Who? 2 other people?
Yeah, Dave Ramsey. I listen to his podcast every single morning. Gary V. And I'm trying to think of a third. A guy named Sean Cannell from Think Media. He'd probably be
that,
for me. Yeah, he's really sharp. His brand is called Think Media, and his personal name, the guy who owns the company, is Sean Cannell. But he teaches you how to win on social media. So
awesome, man. Cool. Paul, thank you as always, man, for your time. Go check out Green Industry Podcast and on all those other platforms as well. Thank you, dude, for your time, and I wish you the best of luck. I always like seeing what you're up to, and always enjoy spending time talking with you, buddy.
You too, Caleb.
All right. Folks, from Kid Contractor Podcast, Company Cam Studios, happy to have Green Industry Podcast on this time. Folks, we'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks. We'll see you.